The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Alicia, and I'm going to be giving the webinar today. Today I'm going to show you how to do your searches, how the search panel works, how to save your searches and manage them. And once we do a search, I'm going to go to the overview of the property and show you how to work with comparables. Remember that if you have a question at any moment during the webinar, just go ahead and type in your question in the chat section, and I'll try to answer it as soon as I see it. So here I'm logged into ReiFax. This is the new version. ReiFax, in our new version, like you all know, we are still only in the state of Florida, but hopefully in a few months we'll start adding some states. We're going to start off adding California, Georgia, and Texas. But for now in your account, you'll only have Florida. In Florida, we have all 67 counties. And in our search here in our new version, we have by default, you can set your defaults here. I click in the green little house here on the top left corner, click on the 3 black dots, and click on ReiFax defaults. That will set up my defaults. I can set up a particular state as default or a particular county. If I usually work with Broward or Dade or any other county, I set it as my default, and that is what I'll have always when I open my search. Once I have my defaults here, I save them and close this. So now that I have my defaults, by default, of course, they pop up here. If I want to change them, I can either change them here. Let's say, if you're used to use the old version, Dade County, the first time I opened it, actually, it happened to me. I couldn't find it. It's not here. Well, in our new version, it's not called Dade, it's called Miami-Dade. So here it is. So don't say it's not there. It's just that the name has been changed. Now it's Miami-Dade. See, it appears on this side. So as I start selecting my parameters for my search, they'll start appearing on this side. I can type in a zip code. Let's go back to my default. If I delete here, it will go back to my default. I'm going to type in a zip code. Three, 2, 5. If I want to search for multiple zip codes, I can separate them by commas without spaces and type in my 33320. But if I type in several zip codes, I can't leave this at exact. I have to go into the drop down and select contains. And all our drop downs, selected drop downs, if they're depending on what type of information they are, we'll have not exact, contains, not contains, empty, not empty, multiple contains. multiple not contains. So I could select contains or multiple contains. Select multiple contains and type it back in. So 3332 comma 33320. See, they appear on this side. I'm going to search for properties for sale. Let's select single family. I want properties that are not in foreclosure and that they are not in probates. Not in a live state, that is, there is no legal procedure over the property. Then I come down here, I have all these other options here. Remember that if you use the old version previously, you had advanced search and basic search. We had basic search and advanced search. Here we do not have that. Everything is in the same search. And it's separated by tabs down here. We have public records, for sale, for rent. As I go from tab to tab, my information down here changes. I have public records, for sales, for rent, for sale by owner. This is a new category that we have in the system. These are properties that are for sale in certain sources, but they're not listed for sale in the MLS. That's why it's called for sale by owner. We have foreclosed, mortgage, and probates. As I've always said, foreclosed, mortgage, and probates work in a very similar way. That is, that you have a way of looking for very specifics. If you're looking for properties, for example, in foreclosure, you can look by case number or by a particular mortgager, plaintiff, or attorney. But in general, you would use this section to do a general search. You would use file date or mortgage date or auction date or auction amount. That's what you would use to make a general search. If you're not looking for any particular case that you have information on, you would use those. That is, again, file date. Entry date is just the date that data entered our database in ReiFax. So you would use file date. File date, auction date, auction amount. Same thing we have in mortgage. In mortgage, we have amount, recorded date. Those would be the ones that you would use for a general search, because if you have a certain information on a certain mortgage that you're looking for, you would look by buyer, second buyer, lender, borrower, document detail. But in general, you would look for amount and recorded date. Then we have probates. Again, ID notice. If you have one that you're looking for in particular, or you can look for representatives information or by the attorney's name or by the name of the deceased or published date. But in general, like all the other categories we just saw, you would use file date, and go back, let's say, the last 6 months. Okay, so we have here Broward for sale, not in foreclosure, not in life state, not in probate, single family in this particular zip code. Let's go back to public records. In this case, let's look for properties that are free and clear, that they do not have any debt on them. So I'm going to look for the equity, debt to equity equal to 100. Okay, so that's what I have here. These are my search parameters. That's a great advantage that we have now, that we can see what I've selected in just one glance. So this is what my search. I can save this search, not my results. I will not be able to save results unless once I get my results, I can export them to Excel and save them in an Excel sheet. But ReiFax allows me to save this search, so I can come back, let's say next week, and do the same search. And of course, since the data has changed, has been updated, I'll get other results. So I can save these results. To save it, I would come here to Manage Search. That will open this window. For me to save that particular search. ReiFax offers, in our new version, a set of preset searches. If you go here, you see you'll have a lot. There are around 62 searches preset into your system. So you can look by the description if you're interested in. They're all preset as any county, so you would have to change the county if you're going to use it. I'll go back and use one of this as soon as I save this one that I have here. I want to save this one. So I'm going to click on New, give it a name. Let's say Webinar Search, and give a description. This is Broward. Not for sale. For no probate. No, this is a description so I know what the search is about. Lives, date, no, and equity 100. Okay, what equity 100 means, that it has no debt on it. It has 100% equity. There is at least no debt that we could find in the system. So that's what 100% means there in this equity. And I click on Save. Okay, successfully saved. So now I'm going to clear my search. Click here and clear search. Everything disappeared except my default parameters. If I want to redo the search that I saved, I go back into my managed search. Like I told you, we have the preset searches here that you can use. Bank-owned condos, bank-owned multifamily, bank-owned single family. You can go through them and read them. Probates out-of-state single family. Out-of-state means that the owner does not live in the state of Florida. Tax delinquent out-of-state multifamily -10. Tax delinquent upside-down single family. Let's look for the one that they usually are saved in alphabetical order. The ones that are preset in the system will all have the prefix RFX. Here we are. This is the one I just saved. I select it and click on load. See, now it automatically put in my parameters on this side. I could change, for example, I don't want single family in this case. I want everything else the same, but I want condos. I can go back and manage search, look for that particular search, and click on overwrite. Are you sure you want to overwrite? Yes. Well, now it's not single family. I can overwrite the parameters, not the name. If I want to give it another name, I would have to create a new one. Okay, so let's close this and do my search. If I want to change one thing and not save it, I can also do it. I'm going to go back and deselect the type and go back to single family. Okay, I have my parameters here, so I click on search. Remember, you can type in your questions at any moment during the webinar. I'll be happy to answer them. Here I have my results. This is my search results. We can see our results. By default, I'll go to grid view, that's this list. This P and this M here tells me that I have these properties in my follow-up already. Those of you that have professional have a follow-up system. If you have platinum, you do not have a follow-up system, so you won't have this second column here with followed status. This one is in my follow-up, this one is in my follow-up, and also in my mailing campaign. This one is also in my follow-up. If I want to know what the colored circles mean, I come here into my legend icon, and that will show me what those colored circles mean. Close this. Okay, this is my grid view. I can see my detail view. This is the same 43 properties with the information, a little aerial picture on this side and the basic information here. And I can also see them in a map view. If I click here in map view, I'll see the properties in a map. If this one is way off, I could reduce my search. Let's make a shape here and only enclose these ones. That wasn't what I was going to do. The shape closed itself before I wanted to, so it's going to select whatever is inside the shape I just made, and it will leave out the other ones. So if I go back to my detail view, now I'll have only those 10 properties within the map shape. I can go back to my grid view and see only those 10 properties. If I want to see any additional information on these properties, either from detail view or from grid view, all I have to do is click on it and it will take me to the overview of the property. So here in the overview of the property, I'll have all the information of the property, public records information, legal description, sales history, and the owner's information. This property is active for sale, so in all properties that are active for sale, I'll have the additional links tab that will take me directly to the links for IDX and Realtor.com, where I can see any information available on this property in those sites. This is only available for the properties that are listed for sale. So here I have additional information on the property. Usually I have more pictures and any other information that it's available for that property. Again, this is only available for properties that are active for sale. Then I'll have comparables. By default, the system will have only uses 3 parameters for my comparables. First of all, they are properties within a 0.5 square miles. Second, they are properties that are 10% more or less the same square footage as the one I'm looking at. And third, they are properties that were sold in the last 12 months. That is the 3 parameters the system has by default. I can change that if I want. For example, I click here in the filter comps, and let's say I don't want properties sold in the last 12 months. I want properties that were sold in the last 6 months. I can also change single family or the distance. I can reduce the distance, or like I said, by default it's 0.5 miles. So let's up it a mile and reduce it to 6 months. I can change here year built, so I have properties that were built around the same year or something like that. I don't know, it's just something to play around with. I can change pool or waterfront. For example, if my subject property has a pool and I want it to be compared only with properties with pool, I would select yes. Or if I have the property I'm looking at is waterfront, I would select only properties that are waterfront. That way my comparables could be a little bit more accurate. But in this case, I'm just going to change the distance. I up the distance to 1 mile, but reduce the closing date to 6 months instead of 12 months. I can click on save and save this particular parameter, or I can just go ahead and filter. Well, actually that filter just filter out everything. I think it must be this one. Let's put it back to 12 months to see if that was the one that filter out everything. I suppose it was. Yes. Yes, in the last 6 months there were no properties similar to the one I'm looking at that were sold. So that's why that filter actually filter out everything. I can also reduce my parameter, change my comparables here in the map. I can select Let's say I want to select only let me draw my shape. Let's do this. Okay, now I only had my subject property will always be the green one. So that's another way to filter out my comparables. Okay, I'm going to remove the filter and go back to my default. Based on the properties that the system uses for comparables, whether it's the ones they have by default or the ones that you set as your comparables after you change them. But based on this comparable, the system will calculate market value. So I select it and click on calculate value, and that calculated my market value. This calc is just the same because I left my parameters as the default. If I change them, then my calculation will be different. Then I have active comparables. Okay, that's a different. The difference between comparables and active comparables is actually in active comparables. Again, we have three parameters that the system uses to get my comparables. That is, again, 10% more or less the same square footage. Again, 0.5 square mile range around the area of the property you're looking at. And in this case, the third parameter is that these are properties active for sale at this moment in the area. In this case, I only got one, but in this, again, I can filter. I can change my filter. Let's put the distance a little bit larger to, that's too much, to see if I get more properties. No, still only one. Well, in any case, based on the properties in my active comps, the system will calculate active value. So this is my active value. That's the difference between market value and active value. Market value is the median sold price of the properties sold in the last 12 months or whatever parameters you use. But by default, it's last 12 months. And active value is the median listing price of the properties listed for sale at this moment in the area. Then I have this trust comps. This is for just for reference. These are properties similar to the one I'm looking at. Again, 10% more or less the same square footage within a 0.5 square mile that are in distress in the area. That is, for example, I have this one. Adapting my columns to see the whole number here. Still don't see the whole number. This is, depending on your screen, You might have to do this. This is for the screen resolution. This is a small screen, that's why it's all, but it depends on the screen of your computer. Okay, so here you have, in the distress comps, you have properties that are underwater, upside down. They have very large steps on them. For example, this one has a market value of 400,000, and it has a known depth of 331. This one has a market value of 301 and has a known depth of 236. Again, I can go here and filter them by distance or subdivision. Then we have rental comps. These, again, is for reference. These are properties similar to the one you're looking at that are for rent in the area with the listing price for rent. In some counties, we have the comparables B&B. This is bed and breakfast. You have, as a ReiFax user, you have access to B&B also. This is Airbnb. You can log into Airbnb with your same login information that you have for ReiFax. Let's go there. Well, let me show you this first. Oh, here. Okay, let me show you. These are properties that are being rented for short periods. They're rented by weekends or holidays or a week or days. These are, so they actually, this is just for information for investors. So they have an idea of what the properties in the area are, what the people are doing with the properties in the area, and how they can, if they're interested in investing that way, they have that information here. Again, like I said, it's not available in all counties, but in any county where it is, you'll have this tab for B&B comps. If you're interested in going into B&B, all you have to do is actually go in airbnb.com. You look for airbnb.com. My computer, it's a bit slow today, sorry for that. No, sorry, Airbnb is the general. B&B Investor. This is the one that's for investors. Sorry for that. This is the actual site that everyone else would use, but I'm looking for B&B Investor. This is the page that is actually used by investors to have a reference of how the market in the area, in a certain area, as in B&B is working. So you go to B&B Investor. Oh, actually, I'm already logged in. But you would log in with your same ReiFax information. It has built in a GPS, so it will set you to the area you're living in. So mine actually sent me to this area. When you log in, it will log in the area where you are. However, you can't change anything in here. This will show you host information, seasonability, which seasons are best for renting in this way, prices, and everything that you need to know for this. In any case, if you have any questions about B&B, just get in contact with us through either our live chat or give us a call, and we'll be happy to send you some information on B&B. Okay, so we have B&B comps, rental comps, distress comps, active comps, comparables, additional links, details. From here, from the overview of the property, I can create several types of reports. We have the property analysis report. That this one, what does is put the information in the different tabs in a report that I can print out or save, so I can share this information on a certain property with anyone. For example, let's go to one property. Okay, let's click on the BP in the power report. I select or deselect what I have, what information I want to be shown in my report. Details, let's let details, comparables, and active comparables. I'm going to uncheck all the other ones and click on apply. Here's my report. You see, I see my property details, I see my sales history, I see the owner's information, I see my comparables, my active comparables, and I can either print out this report or I can save it. Let's go back. Then we have the BPO report. This will again show me comparables, but it will display them in a different way, so I can actually see line by line and detail by detail next to each other, so I can compare my subject property to the other properties. Total square feet, city, beds, address, folio number, year built, waterfront, foreclosure, living area, and the active comparables. I'll have them down here. Again, I can print it out or save it. Let's go back. I have the X-ray report. Apply. The X-ray report will actually show me how the market is acting in the area I'm looking at. Again, by default, almost all the defaults in ReiFax are 0.5 square miles. So I'll have total properties in the area compared to the rest of the county. Distressed properties in this area compared to the rest of the county. Pre-foreclosed in this area compared to the rest of the county. Upside down, not in foreclosure, active for sale, owner occupied, and not owner occupied in this area compared to the rest of the county. Total pre-foreclosed active for sale, pre-foreclosed with less than zero equity, pre-foreclosed with more than zero equity, pre-foreclosed with more than 30% equity. We have total foreclosed active for sale, foreclosed not in for sale. Total upside down in foreclosure, active for sale, upside down not in foreclosure, not for sale. Total active for sale, properties for sale with 30% equity. Keep scrolling down. Total sold in the last 6 months, average sold in the last 6 months, total active for sale, months of inventory, average days on the market. Again, it compares this area with the rest of the county. If I keep scrolling down, I'll have medium sold price in the last 3 months, medium sold price in the last 6 months, 9 months, and 12 months in this area compared to the rest of the county. Again, I can print it or save it. Let's go back. I have the discount report. I have the Freddie investor offer. This is only available for mentor students that come from DREA. This is actually not a feature that we as ReiFax offer. This is a feature that DREA offers. So if you're a mentor student of DREA, this is included into your system. If you're not a mentor student, unfortunately, we can't not provide you with this feature. This is something you would have to contact DREA and have them add it to your system. What this Freddie Investor does is calculate an offer. If I click on that, I put in an offer factor. Let's say I want to offer 80% of the listing, not of the listing price. What Freddie Investor does is takes the comparables, active comparables, regular comparables, and listing price, and with all of them does a comparison and makes a calculation and gives you an offer price. You can either go through to the low side or to the medium and click on apply. If I click on apply, it will actually show me a report and show me exactly what it did to calculate that. For those of you that do not have the Freddie Investor, when you're in the follow-up of your property, you'll have the calculate button. With the calculate button, you just calculate a straight and forward, let's say 80% of the listing price. The Freddie Investor, what it does is uses the comparables and the active comparables and calculates listing price, market value, active value. The offer factor is 80%. A low offer is 210. An investor offer value, low offer price, offer fact times offer factor is 168. So this is what the system with the Freddie Investor will have you offer on this property, 168. The listing price for this property is 255. So you could offer that up the offer factor, or that's just up to you. Again, from here, from the overview, if you have platinum, you would be sending the contract. You can print out this, just click in here and print, or you can save this overview of this property, just clicking on save, or send it to Excel. Do you have any questions? That actually, this is what I wanted to show you. I wanted to show you the searches, how to manage your searches with the managed search, show you that we do offer a preset searches. Just go ahead and go into your system and look at them. Let's select just one. Let's select this is foreclosed upside down condos, towns, and villas. That is with mine equal or less than 20% equity. Click on load. In those presets, like I told you, by default you have any county, so you do have to select the county you're going to use. And search. This is my results. From here, from my results, I can have the 3 views: grid view, detail view, or map view. Click on search again. Okay, from my results, I got out of the results before I told you what I was going to tell you there. And my results, I can go to the overview of the properties, just clicking on one of them. In the overview of the properties, I have the different tabs here where I have additional links if the property is for sale. I have comparables that I can change the comparables that I have by default using the filters. I have distress comps, rental comps, B&B comps, and depending on what information you have available for the properties, you'll have more or less tabs. This one actually has a foreclosure tab because it has foreclosure information. If you have a tax delinquent property, you'll have a tax delinquent property, a tab for tax delinquency with information on the tax debt. If it's a probate, you'll have a tab with the probate's information. So here the system helps you calculate active value and market value with the comparables and active value with the active comps. And that's pretty much what I wanted to show you. Remember that we are available for quick questions at any moment through this Let's Talk flag here. Just open it and type in your question, and we'll be happy to help you at any moment during the day. If you're working after hours and we're not available at the moment, just type in your question in any case, and as soon as we come in the morning, we'll try to answer you as soon as we see it. So that's pretty much what I wanted to tell you today. Thank you very much and have a great weekend.